Okay, hey there and welcome back. So in this little short video lesson, I am going to talk about drawing and hand movements a little bit. I got a request from a YouTube land student participant, David, way out in Winnipeg, in the province of Manitoba in Canada. So shout out to David there, and he asked if I could do a video or talk a little bit about hand movements in drawing, and I'll be happy to do that. So you notice a lot of times I'll draw and I'm moving my hand around like this or like that. Well, you know, part of that is to get the flow of the rhythm, right? So that's a big part of it, in any angle I can. Sometimes I undercut like this. Sometimes I overcut, you know, get that little pinky, kind of like drinking tea a little bit too as well. So that's part of it. All of that is to mimic and get the most flowy rhythm out of my hand in my drawing. So it's about turning the wrist a little bit as I draw, okay? It's also about getting the right width on the pencil when I want. So you notice I use the palm method almost exclusively when I draw, except when I want to go for real minute, you know, kind of detail. And that it gives me a lot of flexibility when I move a pencil around to get a fat mark, a broad mark really quickly like that, right? And also raise it up, okay, at the same time as I'm drawing. Whoops, you know, I'm always breaking pencils. Same time as I'm drawing, so I can get a fat mark and then come up and get a pretty thin mark and go back again to the end of it. So it's all about, you know, in this lecture, this really quick lecture, how to hold that pencil to get energy, to get rhythm and movement. You can't really do that when you're on the tip as much. It's more of a kind of an engraved kind of line. You can hold it like this a little bit sometimes. You can also keep your hand more off of the page by the palm method. So holding it a little bit back from the paper, you know, helps a little bit, and you can make these wonderful gestural marks, especially rhythm, movement, toning in. See how I can push that to the side. And then when I want to make, I notice when I want to make an arc this way, I hold the pencil like that and I can shade. And in any other direction I can hold it like that, or I can push up and I can drag, make a mark going forward, or I can make a mark coming back. So sometimes I make a mark not coming forward this way, but actually coming back away from my body. I can make the contouring, cross-contouring mark. So I can do a lot. I can, you know, sketch, and I can shade in and tone, holding it that way, and then I can keep a nice rhythmic movement to the whole process. And if I take a big piece of, you know, charcoal stick, you know, you really, by holding it in the palm method, you engage really from the elbow forward rather than just the wrist forward. And pretty much actually, when you draw bigger, you can engage all the way from your shoulder forward, because you might want to be making really big drawings in the future, you know, mural size, or whatever project you're working on, whatever level you're going to be at. And some artists don't like to work that small, or that big, and some artists don't like to work that small. So that really helps, and I can undercut this way. Also note that the camera, you know, positioning for the videos is right above my head. And so that makes the hand movement look a little bit different. It's pretty active and pretty moving and flow, but it's all about mimicking, okay, in figure drawing, that flow, you know, across the figure a little bit. So let me do a quick figure just out of my head. I'll just do a quick figure and I'll show you that. Alright, so if I'm going to do like a figure, I'm just going to do something out of my imagination. I can really see how I'm moving before I even draw, so I'm getting a sense for feeling the composition, feeling the movement, in feeling the rhythm of it before I even begin to make any mark on my paper, exploring, composition. So maybe I'll lay out a figure all the way across. So it's kind of like sketching without even sketching. Yeah, getting a picture, a mental movement in my mind. But see how I flow here? I want to go back up. So this wand is kind of like a magic marker of direction and energy in a way. So I might say, okay, I want this figure to really flow. It's going to be a lounging pose, maybe something like this across the paper to get that feeling out. Maybe the head's going to come up, so I get already the direction of the movement. Okay, with the head here, maybe this head's going to be somewhere like that. So I can start to pull out the oval, right, center line of the head. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, and that's the point, is to explore that shoulder here, maybe a little bit wider, coming across and through. Explore maybe the lima bean. Okay, maybe this is going to get pushed up, really hippie, kind of hip-like part of the drawing here, and through, up, center line here, way over maybe. Okay, come down, I haven't decided yet. Pubic region, bone running through there maybe, up and over. All these things I'll decide, but I'm keeping it loose. I'm keeping it broad. Okay, so this could be kind of like a video on hand movement, but also drawing from imagination and using gesture in the lima bean too as well, to play off what I've just done recently, redos actually, from what I've done here a little bit. So, maybe this leg is going to come down and over, so get the direction and flow of that. And maybe that's going to get cropped out. Maybe the knee's a little high. Maybe cropped out here. Maybe there's going to be a foot there. Maybe this leg. So I want to work within the composition. So I'm going to move. See, I don't make marks. I can flow, and then when I need to make a mark, I'll make a mark. And if I don't like it, I'll change it. Maybe that foot will go here. Maybe that foot will come back in. Maybe that's a better mark. Or maybe it's like good enough to be here. I don't know until I get a feeling of it. And so this wrist might be downward, or this shoulder here might be up high. Okay, here, resting on that, and then foreshortened, coming right at us with maybe the hand and through here. Okay, just getting a feel for how all that's working together. This hand maybe it's going to come across the body. This shoulder lower. Okay, this arm, and then back and over. So we get maybe the shoulder in through there. See how I can play around with this here. I can't do that if I'm outlining here. Maybe this arm in hand is going to do something like that. Okay. Maybe the sternal notch is going to be there for the sternum, for the ribs to come out of and through. So I'm feeling that motion with my hand, and then holding it in the palm method is kind of a really nice place to rest that. So it gets very gestural through here as I figure out exactly what I want, from this composition. How big this model is going to be. Is it going to be bulky or heavy or thin, gaunt? Don't know yet. So it's kind of coming together. We're starting to see it more as female slightly. Okay, leg here. This is very much a Renaissance technique. So if you're a student of drawing, what I start to say to my students is investigate the history of drawing. Maybe I should do a whole series of videos in the future on the historical ideas in drawing from the kind of the early Renaissance till now, and see how it's changed and it stayed the same. But we're really using a Renaissance kind of technique. Now, this leg is probably going to be too high. If it's going to be this high, okay, it's probably going to have to stay straight up. I don't know if I like the composition like that, or I could make the foot go out from us. That might be interesting where it flows away. So let's explore. Let me explore that idea gesturally. Okay. So I use this technique in the anatomy section when I explore drawing anatomy of your imagination a little. So the pubic region is probably going to be here, and that's going to come over a little bit. This will be out, adductors out here. and over, and then we'll explore this leg going back here, and I'll have a calf probably here coming down. Part of this foot and ankle will get lost, and then the foot will come back this way. That might be kind of interesting. And then we could put some kind of abstract, maybe like some kind of area where the model is sitting on, right? So maybe something out in here to fill up that space, some kind of curtain. And if I want to get now a little bit more clear with what I've got, I can start to say, okay, so let's take on that. And sometimes I'll work kind of leg down first and through here. So this buttock is kind of non-existent. Let me get a little bit more of a developed buttock in through here. Maybe something a little bit more ample. Okay, I feel like the crest of the pelvis is here now, coming through, and then over would be pushed to about up and through there, and it's going to open up a little bit. So down, we won't quite see all of it. Okay, we'll get probably an oblique crunch in through here. I don't want to get too deep into anatomy, but just showing kind of what I'm thinking, or how I'm thinking through all this a little bit. Something like that coming down. Okay, and then up and over to the leg. And this might be the point where, like, you know, I like this pose, and if you want it from life, then go get your model that you want, and then go get that pose. That's what happened in the Renaissance, in the Baroque, Romanticism, Neoclassicism, onward. It still can happen, you know, today. David Hockney, Lucian Freud, Philip Pearlstein. If you don't know those artists, time to look those artists up. Some of my favorites. So just exploring. So back to hand movement, right? Exploring. I explore, I draw some, I don't draw some. I make the mark. I explore if I like it, I don't like that, so I'm going to get a wider. Explore that down, right? And then come on down to feel at the ankle a little bit, then over, and just leave that generic, you know, for now with the foot. But that's how it's kind of done with hand movements, is to explore this out. This might be a little too short. Maybe it needs to be a little bit longer. The foot, that is. Okay. Just to get that feeling in there. Then I might get the hold of a real foot to really make that look great through there. Coming through, and then now let's get, I'm going to put on the breast into your clavicle, into your shoulder up, deltoid really high. So gesturing through. See how I change the angle of the holding of the hand and I move it back? So it's really pivoting on this fulcrum where my thumb and my two fingers are holding it. This is a harder way to hold the pencil. It took me a while to really get that working for me, so don't get frustrated. Go back to whatever's comfortable for now. Try new things, but go back to some comfort levels so you build up your confidence too. Okay, deltoid, right in through here, medial, or lateral, excuse me. Do their pectoral, and then breast might be squeezed in through here. I'll give the breast a little bit more ampleness, kind of roughly in through here, and then one's going to get squeezed up and pushed because of this arm coming over, something like maybe like that, and through. Okay, this hand will be through here, and just get a gesture for the fingers, just get an idea going, just a kind of a series of marks for now. Later on this can be changed a little bit. And then of course rest in through here. Then this arm's coming over, laying over on top of this material. So we've got this deltoid here, pushed up and over, and around this arm, right in through here, forearm to other arm in through here, something like that. This might sit on top a little bit. Belly might now get pushed if it's more ample figure. right in through here. Might push something like that to go down. Probably won't see you won't see the pubic region through there for sure. That'll be behind it. Trochanter, pelvic crest, oblique skinny crush, and then this arm coming down and through here. Okay, over forearm, then this hand. I'm not sure what I want to do with it. Just kind of start to figure it out. All kinds of changes could happen. I kind of refer back to Contormo when I do gesture too as well, especially his studies. Breast form might be here. The squeeze part of the nipples would come out, maybe lay low, pointing direct or outward, something like kind of like that. And so that's how hand movements are very important for getting this to work for me as well. So I think the suggestion was a great one, and certainly appreciate it. I'll do a little bit of the head and through here, chin. We might see hair might be pushed. You can do anything with the hair. Keep the head and through around. There we go. Really tilt this over a little bit. Nose, something like that. Mouth, anatomy. Just pulling it down. Not a whole lot of detail. This is a gesture, sustained kind of gesture, and through, around, something like that for now. It's about idea making here. Okay. Not sure what I want to do with the hair. Let's see. This could come down maybe. Pulled around. Who knows? Maybe a little bit shorter. I'll just leave it like that for now. Not going to be that important. Okay. Tightening up a little bit, squeezing the hand a little bit, but a lot of it, where it really came from, was those first hand moves. I don't like this leg. I'm going to use the thigh, but I'm going to pull out this leg, and so don't be afraid to pull out this leg. Let's see what we can explore with gesture further. Maybe it needs to be further like this, maybe. I might do something like that. And if you don't like it, then you can take your working with chalk, you can kind of just smear it back and see how that eliminates that a little bit further, which is kind of nice. And this can come out much more elongated. And through here, this would pull that tendon up, and this leg might go something like that, which I like a little bit better for the read of the composition. Pull this through here, and then push that back out and away. Okay, there you go. Hand movements, very important in any drawing. We just happen to be doing it, you know, from figure drawing. So something else you can do as well in hand movements is also the warm-up. So before you even draw, you take some old pieces of paper that you don't need, scratch piece of paper, other drawings you've done on the back, whatever, and warm up. Warm up by moving your hand, getting those hand movements moving and flowing, and own the paper. Get aggressive with it and own it, right? Start drawing whatever, circles, spheres, you know, cylinders. I do this a lot when I warm up, or before I go teach, if I'm a little bit stiff that day, or whatever. I come in my office, and I'll start to, before I go teach, is to start to just warm it on up and make marks, and just move my wrist around, and see how physical this is. You can get a sweat going, and that's okay. That's a good thing, is to just really move it and groove it, and really get that pencil, cover up all that paper with marks and value, and mark around. Okay, so that's something else with hand movements too. Spot flow and movement, and feeling the energy like you would be conducting the drawing or the pose too. All right? Okay. See you later. Bye-bye.